How's it going, guys? My name is Jimmy Champane and welcome to this week's Chuckdate. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a new image of Chucky where we get to see more of his face, and then an interview one of the producers did where he not only talked about the rating, but also some of the changes they're making from the original movie. Oh, I almost forgot. Thanks for clicking on my video. Now that the trailer's out, I was expecting we get to see some new images featuring different characters from the movie, like maybe Andy's friends or more pictures of Detective Mike Norris, but the very first one we got, thanks to Fandango, who put out their summer movie preview today, is of Chucky playing a board game with Andy. And it's weird, looking at this image, I feel exactly the same as I do about pretty much everything else we've seen from this movie so far. It looks like it's shot great, the lighting looks awesome, I love the use of color, the costume design is on point, but Chucky just doesn't look very good. And since my video breaking down the full trailer, we've gotten confirmation from Lars Klevberg that that shot of Chucky smiling in the trailer that looks like it's totally touched up with CGI is actually just the animatronic smiling. And that really worries me, because whether or not it's touched up with CGI or it's animatronic, that doesn't really matter to me, it just doesn't look good. And now that we've seen this new image of Chucky, it's a side profile, it just looks like every shot we see of this doll is different. And the biggest problem here is that when you take the shot of him peeking out from the bookcase, you take this new image, you take the shot of him smiling, and then that picture they shared the day before the trailer came out, it looks like a different doll in every single one. The look is totally inconsistent across what seems like this entire movie, and that's terrifying. It shouldn't be that way. As for what we're actually seeing in the image, they're obviously playing a board game together, but I feel like this is going to be earlier in the movie before Andy knows that Chucky is evil. I also feel like this is going to be a sort of extended conversation between the two characters where Andy sort of talks to Chucky about how he doesn't have a lot of friends, he gets bullied a lot, and then Chucky is going to start to have his weird logic start turning, and he's going to go out and maybe start killing some of these people who have wronged Andy. I also noticed that Chucky's eyes seem to be red in this image, which means he's in evil mode. So what I'm thinking is he's going to have two different voices, or I guess two different profiles. He's going to have the normal buddy profile, that's the doll you can buy at the store, but then when he wants to be evil Chucky, he can start using the Mark Hamill voice, and that's just sort of bringing it in line with the original Child's Play. I don't really have any feelings one way or the other on that, I was just pointing it out because I noticed it. And that brings us into our next story, which is an interview with the producer Seth Grahame-Smith. He sat down with Cinema Blend to talk about the new movie, and he reassured us that it's going to be rated R. He said this Chucky is driven by something different than he is in the original series. When he's Charles Lee Ray, he's just a truly psychopathic killer in the body of a doll. And then above all that, just the intensity, the gore, the fact that the movie is rated R, that it really does go there when it goes there. I think the movie looks big, is much bigger than a lot of movies that are our size, very affordable movie we are. But we had big ambitions. Those are, I'd say, the primary things we're going for. Now, producers are always hyping things up, so I take what he said with a grain of salt, but I am excited to hear that it is going to have an R rating, it's going to have gore, it's going to be intense, and it's going to be violent. That's what I want to see when I go to the theater to see a Chucky movie. And I will say it's nice to hear acknowledgement of the fact that they realize they're punching outside their weight a little bit with how good this movie looks, and not only that, but they also have Bear McCreary doing the score, and I think it's a little bit better than we were all expecting. After that, he dropped a pretty big line on what we're going to see different this time around from the original movie. He said, "We knew that one of the differences we wanted to do here was to ultimately put more pressure on the kids having to do this than in the original movie where it's Karen and Detective Mike, primarily Detective Mike, hunting this doll down." To be honest with you guys, knowing that the producers worked on it Chapter 1 and just knowing how many kids were cast in the movie from the beginning and how much older Andy is this time around, this isn't a surprising change at all, and I think it's a positive one. I'm honestly really into the idea of Andy becoming best friends with Chucky and then being betrayed by him, so he has to go out and make some real life friends. There's a good lesson for him to learn there, and it's yet another good plot thread that kind of offsets the fact that the doll looks terrible. And again, from the very beginning, all I've wanted out of this movie is something new that justifies its existence compared to the other movies. There's no reason to just remake it beat for beat and do everything the same, so I'm glad they're kind of shifting the focus from two main characters in the original movie to one main character with a group of friends this time around. It's just something new and fresh that we haven't seen before. My one hope here is that despite the fact that we know the doll doesn't look very good, that everything else is sort of going to come together and make this a good movie despite that fact. At this point, we know Chucky's voice sounds pretty good because it's Mark Hamill. We know the other actors are all heavily invested in the story and they all brought their A game. We know it's shot well and we know the soundtrack is pretty good. So I feel like that could all combine into a perfect storm situation where everything works despite the fact that the doll doesn't look great. But now I'd like to hear from you down in the comments below what you think of the new shift in focus from Andy's mom to Andy and his friends, and also what you think of this new image of Chucky. Anyway guys, if you haven't subscribed already, I'd really appreciate it if you did. My name is Jimmy Champane, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.